Imagine waking up to discover that a single technical milestone achieved quietly by the Central Bank of Iraq could potentially reshape the entire landscape of global currency speculation, and suddenly everyone from small investors to large forex analysts is scrambling to understand what just happened and why this ISO 301 development is creating shockwaves across the international market. And if you're watching this video right now, make sure you stay locked in, because what I'm about to share could give you one of the clearest and most comprehensive breakdowns you've ever heard about the latest Frank26 update, the rising excitement around the Iraqi Dinar, and what this could mean for the RV conversation that has captured millions of investors worldwide. And before we go deeper into this unfolding story, smash that like button and subscribe, because updates like this require real clarity, real research, and a level of interpretation you won't easily find anywhere else. Now, let's begin with what's actually happening inside Iraq's monetary structure, because many people hear ISO 301 and immediately assume it means the RV is hours away. But the reality is more layered, more technical, and far more interesting as new compliance systems inside world banking frameworks begin to recognize and categorize currencies in a more structured and transparent way. And Iraq's inclusion or progression within the standard is not just a random bureaucratic update, but a tangible signal that the CBI is modernizing exactly where global financial institutions expect it to, especially when preparing a currency for smoother cross-border use, digital settlement, and internationally verified interoperability. And although critics argue that ISO codes alone don't trigger revaluations, the important detail here is that Iraq is aligning itself with systems that support stability, accuracy, and large-scale monetary transactions, which historically occur when nations prepare for broader financial engagement. Frank26's commentary emphasizes that milestones like this reflect deeper readiness inside the CBI's operational infrastructure, where digital audit trails, increased transparency, and stronger anti-fraud mechanisms point to a currency that is stepping closer to international legitimacy, not just as a symbolic gesture, but as a functional upgrade that may reduce risks associated with legacy systems. When a country begins tightening data structures and eliminating outdated processes, what emerges is a financial environment that gives confidence not only to local citizens, but also to foreign investors who have been waiting for years to see signs that Iraq is ready to integrate fully with global banking corridors. The excitement growing across online investor communities is not based on blind speculation, but on the observation that Iraq is strengthening its fundamentals, and every time the CBI makes a move like this, it signals progress in a direction many analysts have been expecting since the initial Reconstruction era. All of this feeds into renewed curiosity over whether 2025 could be a pivotal year, especially as the currency's behavior interacts with US dollar fluctuations and regional economic shifts. And in just a moment, we're going to break down what this really means for exchange rate positioning, the potential timing windows investors are watching, and why the global financial community is paying closer attention now than they did even 1 year ago. So stick with me, because this story only gets deeper and more revealing from here, and trust me, you don't want to miss this situation intensifies. We have to examine why the Iraqi dinar is suddenly re-entering global conversation with renewed momentum, especially after years of regulatory bottlenecks, political reshuffling, and fluctuating oil market revenues. Because the truth is that Iraq has been under tremendous pressure to modernize its financial architecture, and this ISO 301 milestone is part of a chain reaction in which the CBI is tightening its protocols, upgrading its digital frameworks, and coordinating with international monitors to ensure compliance and transparency. And when Frank26 highlights these technical developments, he is pointing to a broader picture. Iraq is signaling to the global community that it wants to be seen as a stable, reliable, compliant economic participant rather than a country isolated by outdated mechanisms. Investors watching the RV narrative aren't just reacting emotionally. They're observing measurable progress, such as streamlined banking interfaces, updated financial reporting, increased partnership with international audit groups, and gradual reinforcement of monetary independence, especially in areas tied to electronic payments, digital verification, and cross-border settlement environments. Historically, nations that undergo these types of upgrades position themselves for stronger currency valuation potential because they reduce systemic risk and increase global trust, which are critical prerequisites for currency movement. The forex world thrives on stability, predictability, and transparency, and Iraq is inching closer to fulfilling those conditions, creating a landscape where speculation evolves into structured anticipation. As 2025 develops, the conversation around the RV is no longer centered on fantasy or rumor, but on measurable actions taken by the CBI to modernize its infrastructure, especially under global observation. Analysts tracking currency reform understand that Iraq needs to establish a solid technological foundation before making any significant monetary adjustments, and ISO alignment is one of those foundational steps that ensures compatibility with global financial systems. Meanwhile, investors in the United States, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East continue to monitor U.S. dollar strength, Federal Reserve movements, oil production volumes from Basra and Kirkuk, political restructuring in Baghdad, and the impact of anti-corruption frameworks, all of which contribute to the environment in which a currency like the dinar either strengthens or stalls. Many people underestimate how much geopolitical pressure influences valuation shifts, but Iraq's strategic location, its growing partnerships with international allies, and its digital banking modernization form a combination that is impossible for global traders to ignore. And whether the RV occurs in a dramatic moment or through gradual appreciation, the groundwork being laid right now is creating new possibilities in 2025 that were not present even 2 years ago. Frank26's emphasis on these details has fueled conversations across investor circles, and the deeper we look into the sequence of developments coming from the CBI, the more we see that Iraq is no longer moving sideways but forward in a deliberate, structured, and internationally aligned direction, making this one of the most closely watched currency stories in the world right now. Let's talk about what this means for viewers who follow the RV conversation closely and want realistic insight rather than exaggerated claims, because the truth is that the Iraqi dinar's trajectory in 2025 depends on a blend of economic preparation, regulatory upgrades, international partnerships, oil revenue stability, and internal policy consistency, and the ISO 301 step is one of many markers showing that Iraq is trying to synchronize itself with global digital finance requirements, and when Frank26 highlights this milestone, he's drawing attention to the long-term structure Iraq is building beneath the surface, where secure data systems, compliance frameworks, improved monetary oversight, and increased currency authentication protocols all reflect a nation stepping toward legitimacy in the eyes of global forex analysts. The excitement spreading across online communities is not purely emotional but rooted in observable modernization. Whether it's better banking transparency, increased effort to combat money laundering, improved coordination with global regulatory bodies, or more direct communication from the CBI about future plans. As digital finance continues evolving worldwide, countries that fail to modernize fall behind quickly, but Iraq appears determined not to repeat past mistakes and instead aims to present itself as a structured, data-verified, compliant financial entity ready to participate in faster, cleaner, more interconnected monetary systems. This is why conversations about the RV in 2025 are louder than before, not because someone predicted a magical event, but because the conditions supporting such a possibility are more visible, measurable, and logically aligned than they have been in years. Investors are watching how Iraq tests new international compliance tools, how it participates in cross-border banking, how it stabilizes inflation, how it manages reserves, and how it leverages oil output to support national monetary strength. And every step forward strengthens the narrative that Iraq is moving into a new era of economic maturity. Whether the RV arrives as a sharp adjustment or a gradual shift, the focus right now is on the behaviors and milestones that lead to increased valuation potential, and these behaviors are becoming harder to ignore as Iraq positions itself on the global stage with more confidence and structure. Frank26's updates continue to highlight this evolution because he recognizes that the world is watching Iraq transform its financial identity. As we close this analysis, remember that the most powerful tool you have as a viewer is accurate information, careful interpretation, and consistent awareness of how global markets respond to structural progress. And if you want to stay informed with the most timely, detailed, and deeply researched updates on the Iraqi dinar, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video so more people can access real, grounded insights rather than noise or misinformation. Your engagement helps this channel continue providing factual, in-depth coverage of the RV story. And trust me, the developments ahead are going to be even more important. So stay connected and stay prepared because this journey is far from over.